Hey, Destination Horror fans. Here is part two of our Days of the Dead Atlanta 2021 feature. In this video, we'll actually be looking at our celebrity guest interviews. We were able to interview three celebrities as well as capture the costume contest. So take a look, enjoy. All right, once again, Days of the Dead 2021 Atlanta, February 26th. We are here with none other than Felissa Rose, Angela from Sleepaway Camp. Oh, how this movie jacked me up. No, there's so many questions, and she's actually in costume.
I'm in my
That's
costume.
that's even the best. That's an awesome treat.
Yes, I am.
So many questions to ask. You were, if I'm not mistaken, you were 13
Yeah.
when you did this film. How in the hell does a 13-year-old do this film, especially for the time frame? Because there's stuff you would not get away with back then that you guys got away with, that even by today's standards would be pushing. How was that experience for 13 years old?
Well, the experience was absolutely incredible. I mean, I was going to camp. I was with other teenagers, and we were boating and swimming and, doing everything that teenagers want to do. So it really had a wonderful effect on me because I made lifelong friends, and I really loved playing this part. I always say it gave me a life. We read the script. We thought it was cool. My parents thought it was original and certainly shocking. So it was just a really terrific experience.
And like I said, I mean, you did superbly, and I mean, just from the stares you would give people in that film, I'm like, you just like stared through their soul. And even then, like I said, my crew, which are my sons, they watched it last night because they both heard of it in their film classes. They just had never had the chance to see it. It actually gets talked about in their film classes because of some of the, not just the effects, but like the concepts that were being done in a movie at that time in cinema, which was not heard of. So they're like, Dad, isn't she in that movie Sleepaway Camp? I'm like, yeah. Like, can we watch it? I'm like, actually, sure, we'll watch it. We watched it last night. And even on the way up here today, we're discussing the ending, which that's going to be my next question. So with the ending.
Spoilers.
Yes, spoilers. If you haven't seen Sleepaway Camp, go to Shudder, go to Prime Video, go wherever. Tubi, yes, and go watch it. Until then, pause the video, come back. All right, thank you. You're back. Okay. Spoilers, you've been warned. So the ending. Oh my God. So many questions just about the ending. One, I understand that there was essentially I think a college student, or there was a male that was actually the body, right?
So they chose a young teenage boy.
Okay.
He had to be 18 to do the nudity, and they made a mask of my face.
Oh my God.
And this was the close-up, was actually my face. So the long shot, as you learn in film school, the long shot was his full body, and he was wearing the mask, and they had to shave his body. He had to have a thin face to fit into the mask. He had to be my height, my weight, so it was a very trying evening for that young boy because, you're posing as a young girl and you're fully exposed. So, but certainly I think they pulled it off.
I mean, I'll say this for me, and I've had this conversation with other friends of mine that have seen the film as well. And for the longest time, we're like, okay, that couldn't have been a real person. That has to be some kind of mannequin that just did it. That was a real teenage boy. That was a real 18-year-old kid.
We don't know where he is. So if you're watching, you're the star of the movie. Call me.
Now, it's also we see this. So what prompted that? I guess how did the director, or if there was your idea thing, what prompted just the mouth being just like? Well, of course I'm wearing a mask.
The director had, asked me when they were making the mold of my face. It started there. He asked me to make that expression. So I guess it was something he had thought of.
Okay.
Perhaps it looked super creepy. I know when I do it at conventions like this, and people ask me to do the face, it's like a jarring kind of a look, like,
It is.
because it's not looking, I'm not looking at you, and the mouth is open. It's very primal, I think, and the noises that come out, the growling.
See, and that's one of our other questions. We're like, because we like rewinded it. I'm like, okay, I don't remember the growling. It's been a while. But when we watched it last night, I'm like, okay, what is that sound? I'm like, what is that? I'm like, is she growling?
Yeah.
So see, that was also the unsettling, because it was like hearing that. I just like all of us were like, dude, okay, let's turn on the lights. It's a little, So you got us.
It's creepy. Yeah.
No, but you did, like I said, it was an awesome film. We totally loved it. Is there anything that you're currently working on, or anything that we should look forward to coming out?
Terrifier 2. I have a
that's
part
right.
in Terrifier 2. I have a bunch of movies coming out. I worked with the same team, Fuzz on the Lens, that did Terrifier. I just filmed a new movie, Stream.
Okay.
I have a bunch of movies on Amazon Prime. I'm working on a bunch of new films that I leave for in the next few days.
Okay.
Cool. So I'm excited about all of them, yeah. And I have a website, FelissaRose.com. And I'm on all social media, Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Yeah.
Well, look, like I said, we're big fans. We appreciate you giving this time to talk to us today.
I appreciate you
and
your time. And
no,
I'm very
thank you.
thankful for anyone who remembers this movie and who comes to see me at the conventions. I'm very grateful.
Oh, this is one of our go-tos. I'll tell you that right now. So once again, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
All right, we are here at Days of the Dead 2021 Atlanta, February 26th, and we are here with a special treat. We have Tom McLoughlin, the director of Friday the 13th, Part 6. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
My pleasure.
So, this is, granted I'm a horror fan, obviously, you can see it there.
There you go.
So, of all the Friday the 13th movies, Part 6, for a lot of people, did something really special because, one, it brought back Jason into the greatness that he is supposed to be. But it's also one of the most pivotal films. It ended up being one of the most pivotal films in that collection. When you got the option to do it, I guess, what was your reaction when you found out they were wanting to do another Friday and that you were going for that?
Well, I was approached mainly because I think my first movie, One Dark Night, had a different style, in very kind of classic Gothic horror. And Frank Mancuso Jr., who basically oversaw all the Friday movies, asked me if I'd be interested in doing the next Jason movie. And I said, I don't know, And he goes, well, we just need somebody to bring him back from the dead, And I said, anything else? He goes, no. And I said, well, can I put comedy in it? He goes, you can't make fun of Jason. I said, no. I just want the characters to have a sense of humor, and I'll figure out a way to bring him back. And he goes, great. And that was pretty much all I had as marching orders. So the rest of it, I was kind of left on my own to come up with the storyline and the characters and obviously the script, which they loved, but I was still nervous that maybe the fans weren't going to love it because it was a very different, departure. And then much to my surprise, suddenly, I now had zombie Jason, which I didn't intend him to be a zombie. I was just ripping off Frankenstein, and bringing him back with a lightning bolt. So as far as I was concerned, he was just like walking undead, not really a zombie. But, that's the way he's kind of been known now. So it kind of turned the tide for the whole series because of that.
And it's actually interesting that you mentioned that, because my next question was going to be, how did you come up with the style to resurrect him? And so I'm guessing, like you said, Frankenstein was, I guess, your inspiration behind that. So how did you put that together with that would be the way to bring him back?
A lot of it is just, I guess, all the influences that I've had from the films that I've loved, the Universal horror movies, Frankenstein, Dracula, all those were in me since my childhood. And then I've done a lot of comedy, lots of films. My first acting gig was with Woody Allen in Sleeper, and then I did, that was the Monster and Prophecy, and so I did, I kind of learned from all the different things that I had done up to that point. So I tried to also make it have a little more of a story, that Tommy went to see if he's really dead. He screws up, ends up bringing him back to life. Jason has an agenda now. He's got to kill Tommy, and Tommy's got to convince everybody that Jason's actually back. And so it both characters really had a place they needed to go and, wanted to prove something. So that kind of changed a little bit the kind of the arc of the way the movies usually went.
Now, you just educated me on something. So you were actually the monster
Yes.
in the prophecy.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I got to take my hat off to you because my brothers are 10 and 12 years older than me. So at the ripe age of 7, and we're living in a part of Georgia that our house is surrounded by forest. My loving brothers made me watch. I say made me. Now it's actually ironically become one of my favorite old school horror movies. That's one of my go-tos. They made me watch this, telling me it's just a movie about bears. So that's the premise I had to start with.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this movie scared pardon my language, it scared the ever-living shit out of me. Because it's one of them snuck out of the house, and the other one was kind of like just like giving them a signal when to go. And when the bear came out at the ending, where spoiler alert, when the plane's taking off and the bear comes out, he hits the wall right next to where I'm sitting. I jumped up. I ended up hurting my foot and everything. So side note, I had no idea that was you. That's an extra treat for me because that holds a special place in my heart when I was a kid. So this is one of the movies that actually got this and American Werewolf in London are the two films that actually got me into horror. It scared me so badly I fell in love with it. That was it there. So is there anything? What do you have coming up on the horizon? Anything that we should be on the lookout for as far as new productions or new projects you're working on?
Well, the big thing, especially for you Friday fans, is I wrote a sequel to my Jason Lives. A new script. It's called Jason Never Dies, and it's set 13 years after Jason Lives.
Okay.
So Jason is once again resurrected from Crystal Lake. This time, in a way that we've never seen before. I tried to come up with something really spectacular for his resurrection.
Oh, wow.
And it's set in the winter on Thanksgiving weekend. It's a retreat across the lake from Camp Crystal Lake.
Okay, I got you.
And it's called Camp Christian Lake. And there's a bunch of Catholic girls who are on retreat with a nun, and they're there, so it's all females and Jason. So it's a very kind of a different twist on it, but it's kind of all the stuff that I think the fans will love in terms of Friday the 13th. And unfortunately, because of the lawsuit that's been going on with Victor and Sean, there's nothing I can do with the script. We just have to wait till that
until it works
resolve.
Out. Man. I'll tell you, but even just hearing that you got a script going on, that just gave me chills because I'm like, especially a direct sequel to part 6. Oh my God, we worked the lawsuit out. We want to see this. I know they do. I know all of us do, man. That's cool, man. I did not know that. Well, look, we want to thank you for giving us the time to speak with us today. Like I said, we are hoping that the lawsuit works out now, especially with that news. And like I said, you've done a great job. We all, as fans, are appreciative for bringing Jason back. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right.
We are here with a special treat. Sam Jones, Flash Gordon himself, here at Days of the Dead 2021 here in Atlanta. There are so many questions I could ask you, but like I said before, I'm a major fan. Flash Gordon, like I said, you could ask my brothers and my mother. I annoyed the hell out of them for 2 years because I would out of nowhere go Flash. It just totally annoyed them.
It's a catchy tune.
It is. Like I said, the movie had the best setup of best combination of everything. It had a kick-ass soundtrack. Awesome acting. Like I said, it was an action movie, a family. It was just an overall awesome flick.
Cool.
So, real fast, is there any special stories or any? What was the most memorable thing about doing the production?
Well, I guess it was 1979, so we're talking about 41 years. What is that? It's 41, 42 years ago. Yeah.
That's where I was born.
Most memorable was the fact that Dino De Laurentiis hired me to play Flash Gordon, and I met Buster Crabbe, the original, and he was incredible. So there was a lot on my plate to do. It was my first lead role, my first film. Memorable was working with the iconic people. Max von Sydow, Brian Blessed, Ornella Muti, my leading lady, Melody Anderson, Dino De Laurentiis, Lorenzo Semple Jr., the writer, and of course the production designer, which a lot of people don't remember. Danilo Donati was the production designer for all the Fellini movies.
Oh,
yeah. So that's why we have. If you look at, people ask me, how do you describe Flash Gordon? And as you look at it, I say it's a visual masterpiece. No matter what you think of the story, and it's camp, it's corny. Should I laugh? Should I not laugh? I mean, just look at the poster. That's Alex Ross's artwork, but he captured it. It's a visual masterpiece. And the director, Michael Hodges, that's what he turned it into.
And I totally agree. That's the best way to describe it. Being that it's a film that, like I said, even for its time, even compared to today, is very effects-rich, very stunt-rich. As far as stunts, how many? Was there any stunts that you ended up doing that were like really hairy?
No, I mean, that's a great question, but I do my own fight scenes.
Okay.
I didn't really do, I mean, if you call rolling around on a battle disc that was rotating and metal spikes coming up, it's still fight scenes. But I don't do high fall. I never did high falls. I never did fire gags, even though when I was in the battleship right before, I think it was the battleship Ajax.
Yes.
When I crashed right in and pierced right through Ming the Merciless.
Yep.
There was a fire. You remember the battleship was on fire, and the director said, "Stay in your seat at the control panel as long as you could stand the heat."
Okay.
Well, I was there, and I know it got hot, and then I actually smelled the hair burning on my arms. It actually was burning off, and then I realized it was time to bail out.
I would say it's a
But I mean, I'm known to do my fight scenes, but not really stunts.
I got you.
There's a huge difference,
I'm here looking at the poster of Ted because obviously you've been in that as well. And I have a funny story about Ted because like I said, my brothers were watching it, and I actually got up to get something because I just wasn't capturing my interest. And then I'm out of the room for like 20 minutes, and I hear "Death to Ming." I'm like, "Stop that shit!" I went right in there. I go, "That's Flash Gordon." And I told him, rewind it. I wanted to see that. And it just, I'm here freaking out like a 12-year-old kid again.
That's
At the time, I'm in my
wonderful,
30s, and I'm like just a 13-year-old fan again. So what is there anything do you have coming up on the horizon, production-wise, or even outside of film?
Well, I had 4 independent films out last year and the year before. The documentary Life After Flash, which is really cool. The producers call this Life After Flash. I refer to it as the do's and don'ts of life. I'm really open. I'm very transparent. I talk about my failures as well over the years, and I think it's really good, especially for the guys. And so I'm real proud of that. And then a couple other. I did a really cool baseball movie called Silent Natural, the true story of the first deaf Major League Baseball player in America in the late 1800s. And that was cool. That was really wonderful, doing a historical piece. And I did a psychological thriller, and I played a hitman in a movie called Accelerator. So
Cool.
So we're very excited.
Well, look, I definitely appreciate your time today. Like I said, huge fan.
Yes.
This is actually, I'm here. I'm trying to keep my geek under control right now. So, but no, like I said, you're like my first literal action hero when I was a kid. So it's just really. It's really surreal to be even just talking to you, so I really appreciate it, man. I do.
You got it, buddy.
Sam Jones, awesome dude, and especially I will definitely be checking out the Life After Flash. That looks really super interesting. So thanks again, I appreciate it.
You got it. Yes.